Hey gang, Joyce Welsh with Skippy Calves Farms here. Impromptu video. It's been raining, it was storming. You can kind of see the remnants of what was left of the storm. I got stuck in the middle of the storm because I was moving the sheepfold. It had been over there by that green patch of brush over here yesterday by that chestnut tree, and I moved it over here up under the oaks because I wanted them to have the shade because it was supposed to be hot and sunny today. Well, somebody forgot to tell the real weatherman what the weather was gonna be, because that's not what I got this morning. So anyway, I'm just finishing up and coming in off of my chores, and I had extended this paddock down here yesterday, so they've got this full strip across, and we'll be moving it down to this strip down here. You can see where the chickens were right kind of in the middle of the screen, and we're going to extend it down to a strip down here, going straight down to the sour oranges. If you look down into the sward, you can see there is a nice diversity in this sward. There's not a lot of clover, but there's a little bit of trefoil clover right here. You can see the little yellow blooms are kind of closed up with the weather. I've got a good amount of plantain. I've got several different kinds of local grasses, and this property had been a farm, I don't know, 50, 100 years ago. And they had partially cleared this pasture, and they had raised cattle on it decades ago. But when I bought the property 10 years ago, it was starting to grow back up into shrubs. So there's still lots of little seedlings around, and you can still kind of see them as you kind of pan around. What's my point? My point is this: nature loves diversity. The more variety you have, the better chance you have of making a quality choice. That's why we go to the big grocery stores and the superstores, because they're most likely to have what it is we are really looking for. And that's basically, in my opinion, the underpinning principle of diversity. The more choices you have, the more options you have, the more likely you are to make a quality choice for the specific situation you're in. I was just walking in and I'm looking, this was just raw land just a few years ago. And now, as I just kind of go across, I've got my hazelnut trees, I've got my chicken tractor, I've got my grape arbor with berries and grapes, I've got my birds, I've got my mama raising her little baby chicks, and she's teaching them to go out and graze. I've moved it in a manner that was different, so I now have that chicken tractor over that area where I had the vegetation that I wanted to put pressure on. And so that's exactly what they're doing. And my rooster wants to make sure that you don't forget that hay is here. And then right next to them are the sheep. And so the sheep bring a different manure, grazing pattern, urine. They bring different benefits to the pasture than the chickens do. They're not really in competition. They do some of the same things, but they don't do all of the same things. So it's like teeth on a gear. You don't want them to line up exactly, you want them to be alternate with each other. And when they alternate with each other, that's when the gear works. And so that's another kind of part of diversity. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I look around and see what I've been able to accomplish really in just the last few years. I've been on the property, not working, so I've been here full-time for about 1.5 years. And basically, it started a few years ago with just a handful of beehives, and then I put my garden in about 3 years ago, and I brought my chickens in about 3 years ago. And the soil on this ground was the color of what I call strawberry blonde. Let me come over here. This is where I did that the King of the Mountain video when the mowing crew first got here. But you can see and this is wet. It just rained a couple of minutes ago. I still got my raincoat on. So that color soil is what I will call strawberry blonde. That's the color of all of the soil on this property. I'm down near a creek, so anytime you're in a river bottom or creek bottom, the geological term is called alluvial, meaning river or flowing water. And so you'll have clay, you'll have silt, you'll have gravel, you'll have rock, because that's what flowing water does. Think of a riverbed. On the outside of the curve, you got a cliff, and on the inside of the curve is where it deposits the sand, because the water physically moves slower on the inside of the curve because it's a shorter path. And I'm just chatting while I'm coming over here to the garden. But I'm a scientist. I like that kind of stuff. So if you like that kind of stuff too, let me know and I'll continue. If you don't like that kind of stuff, let me know and I'll try to dial it down. So, coming over here to my garden, I'm going to come over here to where I got my taters. And hopefully you can appreciate the difference in the color. This soil on my taters is what I'll call a dark milk chocolate. It's still, you can still see little orange clumps and things like that, but it's gotten a lot better, gang. I did do a video about that, because the natural soil is just as hard as a rock here, because it didn't have any organic matter in it. Carbon is key. And so with that, gang, I will let you go, but I just thought, diversity is a very, very important principle that we really don't think about. It's kind of like gravity. You don't think about it unless it works against you. So with that, gang, I pray you have blessings for the day. If you'd like, please subscribe. And whatever you do, just keep chasing the dream.